What if I told you the history we all know is just the tip of the iceberg? Lurking beneath the surface are stories so strange, so secret, and so profoundly human, they seem ripped from a Hollywood blockbuster. Today, we're rediving deep into the hidden truths of World War II, from bizarre weapons and clandestine missions to the untold personal stories that truly changed the course of history. So buckle up, because what you're about to hear will change the way you see the world, as greatest conflict forever. Let's start with the arsenal of the absurd. The brilliant minds of the era weren't just focused on bigger tanks and faster planes. They were dreaming up some of the most unconventional weapons imaginable. Have you ever heard of Project Habakkuk? This was a top-secret British plan to build an aircraft carrier out of ice. Well, technically, pykrete, a frozen mixture of wood pulp and water that was incredibly strong and slow to melt. The idea was to create a massive, unsinkable island in the middle of the Atlantic to hunt German U-boats. A prototype was built in Canada, and it was surprisingly durable. But ultimately, the project was abandoned due to its astronomical cost and the changing tides of the war. It was a cool idea, quite literally. But the weirdness didn't stop there. The British Special Operations Executive, Orso, had a particularly nasty idea: explosive rats. The plan was to fill hollowed-out rat carcasses with plastic explosives and leave them in the boiler rooms of German factories. The idea was that a stoker would see the dead rat and, without a second thought, shovel it into the furnace, triggering a massive explosion. The first shipment of these gruesome gadgets was actually intercepted by the Germans, but it had an unexpected psychological effect. The Germans became so paranoid, they wasted immense resources searching for more of these rat bombs, which ultimately caused more disruption than an actual explosion might have. Meanwhile, the Germans had their own share of futuristic, and frankly terrifying, concepts. Beyond the V-2 rocket, which laid the groundwork for the space race, there was the Sonnengewehr, or sun gun. This was a theoretical orbital weaponer giant mirror in space designed to focus sunlight onto a single point on Earth, capable of boiling oceans and incinerating cities. It was pure science fiction, far beyond their technological reach. But the fact that they were seriously designing it tells you everything you need to know about the high-stakes innovation of the war. They also deployed the Goliath tracked mine, a small, remote-controlled tank packed with explosives. Think of it as a World War II drone, designed to drive under tanks or into enemy positions before detonating. While they had some success, they were expensive and vulnerable, but they were an early glimpse into the future of remote-controlled warfare that we see today. Now, let's move from weird weapons to the world of shadows and secrets. The war wasn't just won on the battlefield, it was won in whispered conversations and behind enemy lines. We've all heard of the Enigma Code, but do you know the story of Joan Clark? She was a brilliant mathematician at Bletchley Park and a key colleague of Alan Turing. Initially hired for clerical work simply because she was a woman, her genius for code breaking quickly became apparent. She rose to become one of the very few female deputy heads of a section and was instrumental in cracking some of the most complex naval codes, saving countless lives in the Battle of the Atlantic. Her story was largely hidden for decades, a testament to the unsung heroes who worked in total secrecy. And what about Operation Mincemeat? This was a deception plan so audacious it sounds like fiction. To mislead the Axis powers about the Allied invasion of Sicily, British intelligence took the body of a deceased homeless man, dressed him as a Royal Marine officer, and planted fake top-secret documents on him detailing an invasion of Greece and Sardinia. They then released the body off the coast of Spain, knowing it would be found by pro-German Spanish officials and the information passed to Hitler. The Germans bought it, hook, line, and sinker. They diverted troops to Greece, leaving Sicily much more vulnerable. The entire operation was based on a bluff, a dead body, and a fake identity, and it changed the entire strategy of the war in the Mediterranean. But the most powerful stories from the war aren't about weapons or spies. They're about ordinary people thrust into extraordinary circumstances. Take the story of Witold Pilecki, a Polish army officer who volunteered for a mission no one else would dare. In 1940, he intentionally got himself arrested and sent to Auschwitz. His goal: to gather intelligence from inside the camp, organize a resistance, and report on the atrocities to the outside world. For nearly 3 years, he smuggled out reports, organized food and medicine, and prepared for a potential uprising. He eventually escaped in 1943, bringing with him the first comprehensive intelligence report on the Auschwitz death camp. His bravery is almost beyond comprehension. Yet for decades, his story was suppressed by the post-war communist government in Poland. Then there's the incredible tale of the Night Witches. This was the German nickname for the female pilots of the 588th Night Bomber Regiment of the Soviet Air Force, flying outdated, flimsy biplanes made of plywood and canvas. These women flew thousands of daring nighttime bombing raids against the Germans. Because their planes were so slow, they developed a terrifying tactic. They would cut their engines near the target and glide in silently, making only a whooshing sound that Germans compared to a witch's broomstick. They were incredibly effective and feared. proving that courage knows no gender. They flew in open cockpits, in freezing conditions, without parachutes, and became some of the most decorated pilots in the Soviet military. So what does all of this mean for us today? It's easy to see the connections. The Goliath remote-controlled mine is the direct ancestor of the military drones and unmanned vehicles that are now a staple of modern warfare. The code-breaking efforts at Bletchley Park, driven by people like Alan Turing and Joan Clark, did UNT just win the war? They kickstarted the digital revolution and laid the foundation for the computer you're rewatching this on right now. The V-2 rocket program, built on horrific slave labor, was later co-opted by the Americans and Soviets, leading directly to the space race, satellites, GPS, and everything that comes with it. The geopolitical landscape we live in was forged in the fires of these secret missions and technological gambles. The deceptions, the alliances, and the betrayals of World War II drew the lines of the Cold War and continued to influence international relations to this day. But most importantly, the untold human stories of unimaginable bravery and resilience remind us what's truly at stake. The stories of Witold Pilecki and the Night Witches show that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can shine with incredible light. They are a powerful reminder that history is not just about dates and battles, it's about people. The history of World War II is a vast, complex mosaic, and we've only scratched the surface of its hidden corners today. These strange weapons, secret missions, and forgotten heroes show us that the truth is often far more fascinating and complex than the stories we retold. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the hidden side of history. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the untold stories of our past. Let me know in the comments which of these stories surprised you the most. Until next time, stay curious.